Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Howlands at Home. I'm Maria Horner, and today I'm coming to you from our office. I decided to come down here. It's about a mile from our house, and I'm the only one here, so I feel like I'm still pretty much isolating. Our internet just here is so much better than it is at home. So today I'm joined by Briney Harris. Hi Briney, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Well, would you start off by introducing yourself to our viewers and telling us a little bit about yourself and your history with camp, and then tell us your favorite camp joke?
Yeah, so I'm Briney. This will be my third year working at CIC, but it'll be my 16th summer on the island. I was a girls cabin counselor for the past 2 summers, and this year I'm really excited to take on a new position. I'm going to be the CIT Coordinator, which I'm really excited about. So yeah, so my dad and my grandfather both went to Catalina Island camps. My grandfather went when it was a Boy Scout camp, and my dad went when it transitioned into now Catalina Island camps. So he was kind of there for both. And so when I was a baby, we would spend almost every weekend sailing over to Howlands. So when I turned 7, it was like the best year ever because I could finally be in dinghy. So I went through the whole camper process. I was definitely that camper who lived for those 2 weeks at camp, and then the rest of the summer the rest of the year was just itching to go back. And then I did our SILT program and our CIT program, and then have been on staff. So yeah. And then one of my favorite jokes I think is, okay, Maria, what does a nosy pepper do?
I don't know, Briney. What does a nosy pepper do?
It gets jalapeno business.
That's a good one. You got to have a little attitude with it too.
Yeah, you have to.
So you have been at camp for a very, very long time. So you probably have a ton of favorite camp memories. Can you share a few of them with us?
Yeah, so I think one of my favorite memories from last summer, it was session 4. So at that point, it's getting really hot on the island. And my campers, it was only the second day of camp, so we were all still getting to know each other. It was still very, new. And so we were sitting at the rock wall. My co-counselor was Caitlin, so she was in charge of the climbing wall. And so it was just us and our cabin, and everyone was hot. It was 4th period, everybody's still getting to know each other. And I found these magic markers, these washable magic markers. I drew a little flower on my hand, and all my campers thought it was funny. I let one of them draw I think a face on my arm, and then another camper was like, oh my gosh, let me do it. Oh my gosh, let me do it. So by the end of the period, me and Caitlin walked back to shower time, full sleeves up our neck, all the way down our legs with these washable magic markers, because we just had so much fun doing it. And all the campers got a bond over that. They all wrote silly quotes on my legs. And we walked back this because we didn't want to smudge it. It was really awesome. So I think that was definitely one of my favorite camp memories.
How long did it take you to get that washed off, or did you carry it with you for a while?
So it was shower time, thank God, and it was washable Crayola markers. So most of it came off, but the purple stayed for a really long time. So it looked like I had bruises right here on my arms. And so me and Caitlin scrubbed for a while, but finally it came off. So.
That's awesome. Yeah. What do you remember most about your time as a camper?
I just loved being able to get to know, it was such a community. There were the older kids that I really looked up to that I still think to this day are so cool. And then there's the younger campers who I kind of got to bring in, since I only had a younger brother. It was kind of cool to have the younger sisters. And then each year we would come back, and a lot of us would come the same session. So we really got to build that community and get to know each other. And so I think that was something that was always really special. And especially since camp is, a range of ages, I got to learn a lot from the older kids, and I got to be goofy with the younger kids. I think that was the best, just the community.
That's awesome.
Nice.
So thinking about all of your years at camp, and now you're out of college and you're getting ready, hopefully to go to grad school soon, what are some of the things that you think you've learned during your time at camp that have helped you as you've grown and matured?
I think one thing a big thing is to not sweat the small stuff, especially going through the leadership training process through CILTs and CITs. I put all my focus into everything I do, right? But at camp, like, we're just there to be goofy. We're there to be silly. Like, if something doesn't go right, we can figure out a way to, you know, do something else in order to, like, make it happen. So, like, the one day it rained at camp, and we had to kind of like figure out what to do, not to be, oh, well, we couldn't go to the rock wall today, oh, our gaga was canceled. We, you know, would figure out something else to do to still have as much fun. I think, and even as a camper too, like, if I couldn't do a certain activity, like I couldn't make it all the way up the high ropes course, like at least I had given it my best and had, you know, gotten to where I felt comfortable and was proud of myself, and not to be all stressed that I didn't finish the whole thing.
Those are definitely good lessons to learn in life. What are you looking forward to this summer? You have a different job. What are you looking forward to with that?
Obviously, through my history, it's really great to be the CIT coordinator. I know what those kids went through, and sometimes it's a little nerve-wracking because you go from being a camper where the world is I mean, they just want to make you happy. It's, you know, it's around you. And now you're at this point where you're trying to give those amazing experiences you had to other campers. So it doesn't revolve around you, you know? And sometimes it can be hard, but that's what I'm really excited about, is that I've had that experience. So I can really like bond with my CITs and kind of help them just become the best counselors they can be, especially through that like difficult transition period.
Yeah, it can be tough when all of a sudden you realize camp's not all about you anymore.
Yeah. Right. But I don't care. I'm snooze you lose. I'm so competitive. Like, even as a staff member, I'm getting my ticket every single day, and I'm staying like as a flamingo until Tom calls the last number, as long as I can. So you still get to be a camper in those ways, which is always
That's awesome. So I asked everyone that I'm interviewing to come prepared to share a camp song. What do you have for us today?
So one memory that really sticks out when I was a camper was we had this staff member named Mott's, and he would sing this song, and he would get up on the tables, which we don't do anymore, but he would get up on the tables, shuffle around, swing his arms around, and he would sing the Little Frogs. So that always was one of my favorite songs. And then for the first 2 sessions, my co-counselor last summer was Fawny, and so I guess the Little Frogs is like a huge song in Sweden. And so I would always sing the first part, and then she would sing it. And it was always so fun. We would like teach our campers how to sing it in a different language. And I think the whole camp always had fun when Fawny would go up and sing it. So that's my favorite one. Okay. I get a little nervous. You do. The little frogs are funny to see. The little frogs are funny to see. No ears, no tails do they have. No ears, no tails do they have. Ooh, waka ka, ooh, waka ka, ooh, waka ka ka. Ooh, waka ka, ooh, waka ka, ooh, waka ka ka ka. Hey!
That was awesome.
Thank you.
So I've been thinking a lot about all of our campers and them being at home and not being able to hang out with their friends or go to school or anything like that. What kind of advice would you give to campers who are at home right now?
Well, I think it's really easy to get into kind of that routine. So you wake up, you do, I don't know, I'm doing online work right now. So I'll have X, Y, and Z I have to get done. Campers have their homework or their Zoom calls that they have to make. And I feel like it can kind of get to be the same thing because there isn't much to do. So I think really shaking up that routine is always good. If you do your homework in the morning, maybe do it in the afternoon. There's a lot of stuff I've been finding on Pinterest, which has been really cool. How to make animals out of like used toilet paper rolls. I do this really fun Wikipedia scavenger hunt. So you'll go onto Wikipedia, you'll have a first word and a last word. So like dog, sea urchin. So like I'll Wikipedia dog, and using only the hyperlinks, so the blue words, you click, which will bring you to another Wikipedia page, and you have to keep clicking until you get from dog to sea urchin. So it's really fun. Also going outside, getting those 15 minutes at least of vitamin D, not only help with your immunity, but just help with your attitude. Sometimes I can see myself getting a little bummed out after I've binge watched X amount of TV shows, and just going outside and like laying in my grass or sitting out there and eating breakfast always makes me feel a lot better.
Yeah. Okay, so I have now what I'm calling the fast five. So I have 5 really quick questions, and so just answer like the first thing that comes to your mind. You don't have to overthink. It's not hard, don't worry. So,
I'm like that.
so fill in the blank. My favorite thing about camp is
The ocean.
nice. A show I'm currently binge watching.
Game of Thrones.
A song that can always make me dance.
Walking on Sunshine.
I know, isn't that true? And a snack that I'm currently eating way too much of.
Cheez-Its.
Nice.
Cheez-Its.
Nice. And then the last thing is a quote that you'd like to see on the quote board this summer.
This one's a little cliche, but it really sticks to me is everything happens for a reason. Like I said earlier, I really can sweat the small things, and I tend to stress and kind of overanalyze situations. Something that's been really big to me is reflecting recently, journaling, or just like taking a couple minutes out of your day to just kind of sit there and just like look back at the things that you're doing. I always look back at these things that stressed me out so long ago that now I'm like, well, if this hadn't happened, this and this and this wouldn't have happened, that have like positively benefited my life. And so that kind of helps me put everything into perspective and kind of go through the tough times, especially like this right now, it can be really hard. I nanny, and I like a lot of the kids that I nanny I've been talking to, and it's a really tough time for them because, they get to go to school every day and see all their friends. Whereas like, we're more used to going to work, and it's not as hard of a transition, I think, for me as it is for the kids I nanny. And just knowing, everything happens for a reason, and this too shall pass, and maybe you'll learn something really cool, or you'll, make some friends from your Zoom meeting, or like, just like little things like that I think will really, push you forward and get through that tough time. It's always an important quote to me.
Yeah, I don't remember what year you were a SILT, but I remember, were you a SILT the same year that Nick was?
Yeah, I think it was 2012.
So one of the staff, I think it was Rose, one of the SILT counselors used to tell the kids all the time, if it's not going to matter in 5 years,
yes,
maybe it shouldn't matter now. And I remember kids telling me when they then got old enough to interview for CIT and staff positions, a piece of advice that they had gotten earlier in their lives, and that was one that came back. And so it's sort of like that "don't sweat the small stuff" thing.
Totally. Sure. And she was awesome too. I remember on my last night of SILTs, I hysterically sobbing, just being like, "My camp life is over. What do I do?" And she looked at me and she was like, being a camper is awesome. Yeah, like it's amazing. But also being a staff member is super fun, being able to like give back and see the effect that you're having in campers' lives and memories. Like those amazing memories that I had were incredible. And so that's what I told my campers too, because I was in schooner. So a lot of my campers are transitioning into SILTs and stuff like that. It was a hard time, and it just gets better,
That's awesome. Well, Briney, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And everybody out there, thanks for joining us for another episode of Howlands at Home. We'll see you all soon.